Okay, this is just a quick reminder to anyone in the Toronto area who's interested in spirituality or self-help or whatever that is. Any type of soul searching or whatever. We're having a guest called Johrey, who's a very good friend of mine who helped me in a lot of existential and sort of spiritual discourse. And she doesn't take any credit for what she does. She gives it all back to the source, the one love that we are and that everyone seems to be interested in these spiritual matters. So we're having her come to talk at Yari's place, which there's a link to the meetup site, so people can check that out if they want. She's very generous with her time, and the talk will be free. Donations are accepted but not required, so anyone who's interested can feel free to come check her out. And I know that people will have a positive response if they're willing to open up, because the way she presents certain concepts and ideas may be slightly different, than a lot of what we're used to in sort of the contemporary spiritual marketplace. So it's not, it can't be compared or talked about in any sort of tradition. She's kind of, you know, just does her own thing as she's guided, as we all do. So that will be happening from 1:30 to 3:30 on Saturday, October 22nd, and everyone is welcome. She had a very profound effect on me during our interactions, and I could sense the divine benevolence that she's in touch with, and I didn't sense any type of manipulation and any of the games that I often encountered with other people, that I sought for guidance. I found there's a lot of the blind leading the blind going on in most of my seeking and spirituality in general. So I found Johrey to be a very refreshing voice and also a very gentle and yet palpable presence. So it's a lot more about the energy than about the semantics, because I found myself arguing a lot with her during our and Skype conversations, because I was hooked into a lot of non-duality type lingo, which is basically certain types of ideas and concepts that are kind of used to try to negate other types of concepts that we may have held, since childhood and stuff like that. But I found that there was a lot of simplification in Johrey's message, because she didn't seem to find herself in the need of using certain words as opposed to others, or uh, going back to the way she said it before. It was always fresh, and she was able to adapt the language based on where I was at the time. And she seemed to always know what I needed to hear, rather than feeding me with, sweet little lies or promises. It was always simply the truth, you know, directly, rather than any type of games or delays or, to-do lists. The whole thing that, a lot of people are very familiar with in these endeavors that can come up, right? Like certain tendencies to it's biases or ways of presenting information or certain identifications and all that. And there was a refreshing absence of all of that with Johrey, and I'm very grateful that she's coming in. And she's not a very well known person in Toronto anyway, as far as I know, and that's why I'm, trying to promote as best I can someone who was very helpful to me in pointing me back to that which I am and the love that is. So anyway, I'll post the links, and thanks very much for listening. And if you're in the Toronto area or near the GTA and you feel like checking her out, I would highly recommend it. And that's about it. Thank you very much.